Okay, so we are going to go through indicator 4, day 1. And indicator 4 is all about story problems and how to read a story problem and then write out an equation based on that story problem by taking the information given to you and then either writing an equation, and then as we get a little bit further along into the worksheet, we'll actually be solving some of these equations as well. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of these. This is your actual homework assignment, and because this is kind of a lengthy assignment and because it's a harder assignment, rather than doing notes separate and then you doing your homework assignment, I'm going to use your homework assignment as your notes. And so we'll do some of your homework together, and then the rest of it you'll have to do on your own, okay? All right, so let's look at number 1. A DJ charges $30 an hour and a flat fee of $350. Write an equation that would represent the cost C of working for H hours. So in this, we know a couple of things. The first thing we know is that they want us to use C, capital C, for the total cost. And then also they want us to use H to represent hours. So if we look back at our story problem, we've got a DJ charges $30 an hour. Well, we know that we're going to use an H to represent the hour. And anytime you have something that's an hour or per hour, it's multiplication. Okay, it's multiplication. So we can write this equation and we can say the total cost, right? Write an equation that will represent the cost, capital C. So the cost of hiring this DJ would be the $350, which is the flat fee that he charges, plus he charges $30 an hour or per hour or times H. And since the only thing this problem wants us to do is write an equation, we're done. That equation is written. Okay? All right. So number 2 is almost identical to this. And so I'm going to let you go ahead and work number 2. After we get done with notes, you can go back and you can work number 2. So let's do number 3. So we've got Joe the plumber charges $25 for his service. So that's his flat rate fee, plus $15 per hour. So step A here, we've got 2 steps here. Step A has us write an equation for Joe, which uses T for total. So this time they want us to use T for his total in terms of H hours. Well, again, we're right for hours, we're going to use H. So if we go back up to our story problem, Joe charges that $20 service fee or that flat rate plus $15. Remember, per is multiplication, and then we're going to use an H for hour. Okay, so per H or 15H. So let's write that equation. So T, they want us to use T for total. So for part A, we've got T equals, and then his flat fee he charges, that $20, plus he charges $15 right here, $15, and then per hour means multiplied by hours or times H. So that's part A. We wrote an equation for T for the total amount he charges, and it's his flat rate plus his hourly rate. So for B, they ask us to find out what is the total charge for 4 hours. Well, in the equation that we just wrote, we didn't know the hours, right? Right here, we didn't know the hours, and so we just use H in place of the hours. Well, now here they're giving us the hours. So here is the 4 hours. So instead of the H, we're going to plug this 4 right in where that H is, because that is 4 hours. So we get T equals 20 plus 15 times 4 hours, because that's how many hours we're going to calculate the cost for. And PEMDAS says we do multiplication first, so I'm going to leave this 20 alone for now. 15 times 4 is 60. And then we add that and we get 20 plus 60 is 80. Now this is a story problem, and all story problems have to have a label. And so you go back to what is it we're solving for? What was the total charged, right? Well, that's money. So our answer needs to be the total charged was $80. And so that would be your final answer there. Okay. Now, number 4 is very similar. You got the market. Bob bought a bunch of bananas for 35 cents per, right? There's that per. That's going to tell you that's multiplication right there, per pound, and a frozen pizza at $4.99. Write an equation for the total charges using T for total charges. Okay, so they want you to use T for that. In terms of P for pounds, so here we've got P for pounds. So up here in the equation, we had 35 cents per, right? And we're going to use P for pound. Okay, that's kind of a horrible P there, but that's what it's supposed to be. There we go. So let's look at what our equation would be. So again, they tell us to use the T for the total. So I'm going to use total, and this is part A. Let's do that, part A. We're going to use the T for total, the total amount that Bob spent at the store. Well, what's the first thing he bought? He bought bananas at 35 cents per, which is multiplication, P, which is pound, right? 35 cents per pound. So this 0.35P is the same as this 35 cents per pound. And, or plus, he bought a frozen pizza at $4.99. So that's that flat amount he spent. Okay. So that's A. A just says write an equation. We've wrote an equation in terms of P, right? Or using P as the total, and we used P for pounds. Now B wants us to tally what would he spend if, right? There's that if. We're going to plug something in now. He bought 3 pounds of bananas. Well, again, right? The 3 pounds, right? Instead of P in our equation, we're going to substitute that 3 in for P because now we know that the pounds is 3. And so we get T equals, well, be 0.35 times 3 plus $4.99. And then PEMDAS will do that multiplication first, so we get the total. Well, 0.35 times 3 is 1.05 plus 409 or 4.99. And then when we add that, we get 1.05 plus 4.99, and we get, what, 6.04? And again, to get your label, go back up to what was the question asking. If Bob bought 3 pounds of bananas, what's the question? What was the total bill? Well, that's money, right? That's the final question we're asking. What was the total bill? The total bill was $6.04. So you would label it dollars, and that would be your final answer. Okay? All right, let's look at number 5. Well, number 5 is nice because they already wrote the equation for you. So the amount of money that Pamela, with P, using P to stand for Pamela, and Julie, using J to stand for Julie, are related by the equation. Okay, they give you the equation. If Julie, which is the J, right, Julie J, if Julie has $83, how much money does Pamela have? Well, let's take our equation that they wrote for us. We didn't even have to do that part. And we do 3P plus 5 equals. Now, in place of J, I'm going to put what Julie has, which is 83. And now, in order to find out how much money Pamela has, you have to solve for the P because the P stands for Pamela. So you'd move the 5, divide by 3, and then again, it's how much money. So your answer at the end, when you get there, is going to be P and then $sign. Okay, and then whatever answer you get when you solve for P. Okay, so let's look at number 6. You have a part-time job, and you work 9 hours. You also receive an allowance of $20 per week. So that's just a flat allowance no matter what. Plus you work 9 hours. If you earn $92 in a week, so right there, that's your total, right? They already give us the total. If you earn a total of $92 in a week, how much did you earn per hour at your part-time job? So here we know the hours, which is different than the last problem. What we don't know is how much money you made per hour. So, and it doesn't matter what variable you pick. I'm going to use M to represent my money, right? This is the money that I earn. That's why I'm using M. What I earn per hour at my part-time job. So how would we set this up? Well, this time, instead of using a T for total, we know the total. The total is $92. We were told that in the problem. So we've got $92 that we earned. How did we earn our money? Well, we got an allowance, right, of $20 per week. So that's part of our money. And then We know that we worked 9 hours, but we don't know how much we made per hour, and that's where we had our M here. So we're going to put our M here. That's our unknown. So we've got $92. That $92 was made by a $20 allowance plus working 9 hours at M amount of money per hour. All right. So to solve for M, or to know how much you earn per hour, we just have to get M by itself. So we're going to subtract 20 and subtract 20. And that gives us 72 equals 9M, because 20 minus 20 goes away. And then we divide by 9, and we divide by 9, and we get M equals 8. Now, again, this is a story problem. So what does 8 represent? Well, to know that, always go back to your last sentence, right? And it's right, let me underline it in pink. So how much did you earn per hour at your part-time job? Well, the answer is 8, but it's 8 what? The answer would be $8 per hour. Okay, or you could write it $8 per hour, either one. But that would be your answer. Okay, because that answers the question. The question was, how much do you earn per hour? The answer is $8 per hour. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's go with number 7, and then I'll have you do number 8 on your own, because they're pretty much identical. So I'll set up 7 and help you work it, and then I'll let you set up 8. So for number 7, a pizza shop charges $9 for a large pizza, and then additional toppings cost $1.25 per topping. Heather paid a total, right? Her total she paid was $15.25 for her large pizza. So how many toppings did she order? All right, so again, what are we looking for? We're looking for the answer of how many toppings. That's our question. That's our unknown. So for toppings, I'm going to use T, just because that kind of makes sense to me. So we know, what do we know about this? Well, so far we know that the total amount she spent was $15.25. And what all did she do? She bought that $9 pizza. That was that flat charge for a cheese pizza. Plus, she spent $1.25 per topping. All right, $1.25. Here it is right here, $1.25 per topping. Remember that per or an hour or at, right? That means multiplication, and then we already decided we were going to use T for toppings. So $1.25 per topping, $1.25 per topping. That and this are saying the same thing. All right. So now, in order to figure out how many toppings she bought, we have to solve for T, because T stands for the number of toppings. So in order to do that, the first thing we need to do is we need to subtract 9 and subtract 9. And when we do that, we get, is that 1625? Or I mean 625, sorry, 625. Yeah, so we get 625 over here. And then the 9 minus 9 cancels out, and we get 1.25 T. And then in order to get T by itself, it's attached to 1.25 with multiplication. So we break it loose with division. So we're going to divide by 1.25, and then we're going to divide by 1.25. And so we get T equals 5. When you divide 6.25 by 1.25 in the calculator, you get 5. Now, again, it's a story problem. And what was the question? The question was how many toppings? So the answer needs to be, let me scroll up a little bit. The answer needs to be 5 toppings. Okay, with story problems, you don't ever want to just leave it T equals 5, because with story problems, you have to have an answer to the story. Okay. Number 8 is almost identical. You've got a yogurt shop. You've got a base charge of 2.75 for the ice cream, and then you've got additional toppings. So if I were you, for toppings, I would use T again. That cost 0.75. There's that per. So multiply by T. And then she has $6 to spend. So what is the maximum number of toppings that she can order? And the way that's worded there, you got to be careful, because when you get to your answer, it's going to be a decimal. So you're either going to round up or down. And so you need to think about, what does it mean if she only has $6 to spend? If you round up, would that put her over? And if you round down, would that work? So kind of think through that and make sure your answer is so many toppings at the bottom. Okay. All right. All right. So Tony works at a bike shop where he earns $300 for the week. Plus, he earns $15 for every bike that he sells. So $15 per bike. Okay. So it's worded a little bit different, but basically $15 for every bike means $15 per bike. So we know that this is going to mean multiplication, and we're going to use a B for bike. Okay. So $15 per bike, plus he earns $300. If Tony wants to earn a minimum of $500 a week, how many bikes must he sell to reach that goal? So let's think about what our problem is. First of all, his total amount that he wants to earn a week, all right, that's his total amount, is 500. So there's our total. And he's going to earn that by his $300 that he earns, plus his, right here, $15 per bike, or times B. So first, let's solve for B. How many bikes does he need to sell to make $500? Okay, so we're going to subtract 300 and subtract 300, and that gives us 200 equals, that goes away, and we're left with 15B. And then we're going to divide by 15, and we're dividing by 15. And our answer that we get when you punch that in the calculator is 200 divided by 15 equals 13.333. Now, let's think about what this problem is asking. The problem is how many bikes must he sell? Well, can you sell 13.333 bikes? No. So how many bikes does he need to sell? Well, you're either going to round up or down. This is kind of what I was talking about on number 8. So if you round down and you only sell 13 bikes, you're not quite going to make 500. And he says he has to make a minimum of 500. So if you round down and you put 13 in our equation up here, right, for B, if right here for bike, if we plug 13 in here, 15 times 13 is 195. That plus his $300 that he makes only gives us $495. He didn't meet that 500 limit. So what happens if we round up? If we round up to 14 bikes, because again, right, you can't sell 13.33 bikes. If we round up for our answer to be 14 bikes, and we plug 14 in for B, 15 times 14 equals 210, plus that $300 is 510. Now he's met his minimum of $500. So when you get a fraction, right, like this, a money fraction isn't so bad. But when you get a fraction on a bike or on a topping or on, something like that, you have to think, should you round up or down? And it depends on how the question is worded. Do you want to earn more than 500 or less than 500? And so we knew if we did 13 bikes, that'd be less than 500. So we rounded up to 14 bikes to make it to where we would make it over that 500. Okay. If you're wanting to stay under an amount, sort of like our ice cream shop for number 8, you got to think through what your answer means, right? You're going to have a whole topping. You can't have a fraction of a topping. So are you going to round down to stay under that $6, or are you going to round up and go over that 6? So kind of think through that when you go to answer it. Okay. All right. Let's set up number 10. A rental car company charges $19 a day plus 15 cents for each mile or per mile. So that should tell us that for each mile, that's like per mile. So that's multiplication, and I'm going to use M for mile. So they charge $19 a day plus, that's addition, right? So plus 0.15 per mile driven. Mr. Miller's company gave him a budget of $40 for the rental, so he can't go over $40. How many miles can Mr. Miller drive with his company's budget? Okay, so how many miles can he drive with his company's budget? So if we have the total budget, the total amount he can spend is $40, and he's going to spend that 40 by the $19 per day, and then plus the 0.15 per mile charge. Okay? Now, we're going to first solve for m, then we'll decide if we need to round up or down. So we're going to subtract 19 and subtract 19. And that gives us, what? You can tell it's the end of the day, my brain. All right, 21 equals 0.15 miles. And then we're going to divide 21 by 0.15 because we want to divide both sides by that. And that cancels out. And we're left with m equals, and 21 divided by 0.15 is 140. So how many miles can Mr. Miller drive with his company's budget? He can drive 140 what? Miles. Okay, so we didn't even come up with a fraction. We didn't even have to worry about rounding because it came out exactly even. He can drive exactly 140 miles in a day in order to stay underneath his company's budget. Okay? All right, let's see. I'm going to help you get these last two set up, and then I'll leave you to work them. All right, so Paul bought a student discount card for the bus. The card costs $7, so that's that base rate, right? There's that $7 base, and that allows him to buy daily bus passes for $1.50, right? So that's per day. After 1 month, Paul spent a total, so there's his total, he spent a total of $29.50. How many daily passes did Paul purchase for the month? All right, so let's think about this. He spent a total of $29.50. And what did he spend his money on? Well, he had to buy the card, right? And the card was $7. Plus, he had to spend this $1.50 every day, right? Every day that he wanted a ride, he spent $1.50. So I'm going to put $1.50D. And then because it says how many daily bus passes, and we used a D for that, how many daily bus passes did Paul purchase for the month? So what you need to do is move the 7, divide by 150, and get how many daily passes. And your answer is going to be, like D equals whatever, your answer is going to be daily bus passes. That's how you're going to label that answer. And then last, we've got Sarah paid $15.95 to become a member at a gym. She then paid a monthly membership fee. Her total cost, there's total cost, right? Total cost for 12 months was $735.95. That was her total cost, right? How much was the monthly fee? So we don't know how much the monthly fee was, but we know she did it for 12 months. And we also know that she paid $15.95 just to sign up for the gym. Plus, for 12 months, she paid some amount of money, and we don't know what that amount of money was, right? We just know that she paid something. Her monthly fee, we're going to use M to stand for her monthly fee. And I don't know what it is, but we know that she paid it for 12 months. So she spent a total of $735.95. That was her gym fee plus 12 months and some monthly fee. Now, in order to solve this, you're going to move that $15.95, divide by 12, and you're going to get the amount of money, right? So watch, your answer is going to have to be dollars that she spent on her monthly fee. All right, so for your homework, you are going to go back and you are going to do number 2. You are going to finish number 5. You are going to do number 8. And then you are going to finish number 11 and 12. And if you have any problems with any of these, you can shoot me an email tonight and I will be happy to help you. And these are due tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions.